Poland is no longer just a Central European country. It is becoming one of the most important strategic states in Europe. But rapid military expansion and economic growth bring new pressures. In this video, we break down the strategy behind Poland's rise. After joining the European Union in 2004, Poland moved quickly to reshape its economic base. Foreign direct investment surged, with annual inflows averaging 14 billion euros in the first years, and reaching 18 billion euros by 2024. Manufacturing became the backbone, drawing on a persistent labor cost advantage. In 2023, the average hourly wage stood at 14.2 euros, nearly half the EU 15 average, making Poland a magnet for automotive, electronics, and logistics firms. Over time, the share of manufacturing in total exports climbed from 45% in 2004 to 62% by 2024. At the same time, logistics and transport services expanded, now accounting for 15% of export value. The result is a tightly integrated position within the EU's internal market. New highways, rail links, and intermodal terminals, often co-financed by EU funds, have turned Poland into a key transit and distribution hub for the continent. This export orientation and steady investment have delivered fiscal surpluses, raising annual tax revenues by 12 billion euros between 2015 and 2023. Economic institutions have used this capacity to support rapid modernization, laying the groundwork for the country's current strategic ambitions. Geography is not neutral. It shapes strategy. A narrow strip of land, just 60 kilometers long and barely 20 kilometers wide, draws the attention of NATO planners and geostrategic analysts alike. This is the Suwałki Gap, the only land corridor connecting the Baltic states to the rest of the alliance. Flanked by Russian forces in Kaliningrad to the northwest and Belarus to the southeast, it forms the most exposed segment of NATO's eastern border. Any disruption here could sever the Baltic capitals from European reinforcements. The E67 highway, known as Via Baltica, and the parallel Barlinek to Suwałki rail line cut through this corridor, forming the backbone of the North Sea to Baltic Trans-European Transport Network artery. These routes are not just economic lifelines, they are pre-identified surge corridors for military convoys. 3 major transport axes cross Poland, linking German industry to Baltic ports and Ukraine. Upgrades to Gdansk, Gdynia, and Świnoujście ports have raised their combined cargo throughput to over 25 million tons annually, while new intermodal terminals in Białystok and Elk serve as dual-use nodes for civilian and military logistics. The physical bottleneck of the Suwałki Gap and the arteries that feed it dictate how Poland and NATO think about defense, deterrence, and the movement of goods. Geography is not neutral. It shapes the logic of every strategic decision that follows. Poland now spends over 4% of its GDP on defense, more than any other European NATO member. The Ministry of National Defense has directed these funds into a surge of procurement. That program includes 116 Abrams main battle tanks from the United States, 180 K2 Black Panther tanks, 120 K9 Thunder howitzers from South Korea, and 4 Patriot air defense batteries. The FA-50 light combat aircraft and the Integrated Battle Command System round out a program designed for rapid deployment and high interoperability. These acquisitions are not symbolic gestures. They are the backbone of the East Shield, a network of fortifications and sensor arrays stretching from the Baltic to the Ukrainian border. The scale of this buildup is deliberate, shouldering a burden few allies have matched. For Warsaw, security means permanent readiness, not just reassurance. The permanent United States Army garrison in Poznan now anchors NATO's eastern flank. Under the Strategic Partnership Agreement and Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, United States command elements have a standing presence, with Polish law guaranteeing operational access and mutual support. This arrangement comes with a price. Host nation support, including infrastructure, utilities, and tax concessions, absorbs nearly 1% of Poland's gross domestic product each year. Lease terms include an exit clause. Either side can withdraw with 12 months' notice, but the operational reality is more binding. The United States' presence acts as a force multiplier, yet it narrows Poland's room for independent action. Security, in this model, is both strengthened and circumscribed by alliance dependency. When Russia's invasion of Ukraine began, Poland became the principal gateway for military aid, humanitarian relief, and refugees. The Rzeszów-Jasionka airport, just 90 kilometers from the border, was rapidly transformed into a coordination hub. Here, Polish, NATO, and Ukrainian teams manage a flow of 1.2 million tons of aid each year, everything from armored vehicles to medical supplies. Trains and convoys depart around the clock, while ground crews and volunteers sustain a logistical rhythm that never stops. More than 4 million Ukrainian refugees have crossed into Poland since 2022, with reception centers and transit corridors organized at record speed. The scale and efficiency of this operation have made Warsaw the logistical backbone for Ukraine's war effort and humanitarian survival. Poland's influence now extends far beyond its borders, anchored by the hard facts of throughput and coordination, not just rhetoric. Geography is not neutral. It shapes power. Poland's energy security rests on hard numbers and new infrastructure. The Baltic Pipe, completed in 2022, delivers up to 10 billion cubic meters of Norwegian gas each year, enough to cover nearly a third of national demand and sharply reduce Russian imports. At Świnoujście, the expanded LNG terminal now handles 5 billion cubic meters annually, with capacity to ramp up in emergencies or supply neighbors. Renewable energy is gaining ground, with 13.2 gigawatts installed and a target of 15 gigawatts by 2030. Policymakers see these assets as levers, not just buffers. Diversified supply underpins economic resilience and strengthens Poland's position as a logistics and energy hub. Geography is not neutral. It shapes capability. The European Union remains both a source of strength and a channel of pressure for Poland. Access to nearly 140 billion euros in European Union funds underpins critical infrastructure and modernization, yet much of this support is now tied to compliance with rule of law standards. The European Commission actively monitors judicial reforms, holding back tranches of recovery and cohesion funds when benchmarks are missed. At the same time, Poland faces a shrinking workforce, projected to contract by 15% by 2035, threatening both economic growth and the fiscal base that sustains defense spending. Demographic decline and European Union conditionality together introduce real risk. Momentum is not guaranteed. The path forward depends on more than ambition. Poland faces three possible futures. In one, steady growth and strong alliances drive prosperity. High GDP, reliable EU funding, and managed migration keep defense spending and economic momentum strong. In another, internal constraints mount. Population decline quickens, fiscal constraints deepen, and disputes with Brussels slow investment. Defense budgets shrink, procurement stalls, and unemployment rises. In the third, transatlantic ties weaken. US security guarantees fade, NATO's priorities shift, and Poland turns inward, seeking new partnerships amid shrinking resources and heightened risk. Each scenario rests on the interplay between outside support, domestic strength, and the resolve to translate ambition into enduring influence. Poland's choices today define Europe's security frontier. Geography is not neutral. It shapes every alliance and risk. For those who value strategic clarity, subscribe for more country breakdowns.